Alrighty, so today we are going to finish up the review for match week number 11, and definitely in terms of these last 7 games, we saw a lot of blowouts that happened at least in these West Coast games, but we also saw something that we have never saw in MLS history, and I'll get to that specific event that we'll talk about. In fact, that's actually the last game that we're going to talk about of something we have never ever seen in MLS before, and I didn't think we were going to ever see this happen in MLS history. But anyway, let's begin with the first game, which is San Diego versus FC Dallas. And I'll tell you what, this game just feels like it's a microcosm of Dallas. I mean, this season, as I mentioned before, if you're a Dallas fan, it's going to be very frustrating because of the inconsistency it's been. I mean, after last week and an incredible come from behind win against Inter Miami, and looked like that was the highlight of the season. And then the very next game, they fall by probably the worst loss that they suffer in the lowlights of this season, certainly for new head coach Peter Quill debut season. Now, in the first half, Lozano would miss wide from long range as that was the game's first shot. Farrington would miss wide from close range. The shots were one apiece early on, and at least early on it was competitive. It didn't stay that long because after Acosta puts it over from long range, a penalty was given to San Diego as Mighton was brought down by Bennett here. So here comes Chucky Lozano, a chance to put away the penalty spot, and he did exactly that, but he barely got that one in because Paus actually got a hand to this one, just couldn't quite parry this one away, and just like that, San Diego's was leading 1-0. Moore did look to respond, but he missed that one high, and then in the 27th minute, Lozano would score his second goal of the game. He scored from Dwyer and Verskov to make it 2-0 in favor of San Diego, and he was looking for a hat early on, but he missed wide in the 38th minute. Safe to say, Chucky Lozano was definitely feeling it in this game. We know the quality that he can bring to the San Diego team, and when he does show that quality, watch out. He's a very dangerous player in this league. Pedrino would then hit it right to Dos Santos, but we do head to halftime with San Diego leading 2-0. In the second half, De La Torre would hit it right to Paz just seconds into the second half before Acosta hits it right to Dos Santos. Couple of half chances certainly for both of these teams as they both were looking for the next goal, and in fact, the next goal came not long after I wrote that, as in the 56th minute, Dreyer would score to make it 3-0 for San Diego. He scored from Lozano and Valicari to make it 3-0, as I mentioned. Delgado did look to answer, but he was denied by Dos Santos, and then Valicari would hit it right to pause, and then he would be on target, or at least we think that he hits this one on target because yeah, this was a bit of a controversial goal because well, it's gonna go down as a goal for Valicari, assisted by Dreyer and Lozano. Yeah, I gotta say when that ball bounced off the post and pretty much bounced on the line, I didn't really think that ball crossed the line. I mean, I saw it a couple of times. It was very close, and keep in mind there is no goal line technology in MLS, and if there was goal line technology, I would have think that that goal probably didn't cross the line, but nevertheless, they still get giving that as a goal, and that yeah, I'm pretty sure Dallas fans were definitely not happy about that, and that I'm pretty sure Pro is probably fortunate the fact that this game was already out of hand, because if that was the goal, that was the difference in the game. Oh boy, we might have some big controversy once again when it comes to the ball not being crossed the line, and maybe a push for MLS to really put goal line technology in this league. Pass then denied Dreyer from close range before Lozano missed just wide from close range. I mean, that fourth goal just not only killed off any chance for Dallas. I mean, to be fair, that third goal probably killed off any chance for Dallas's comeback. But this is when San Diego's just toying with this Dallas defense. They were pushing hard to get that fifth goal, and they do that in the 87th minute as Iloski scored his first career MLS goal from Valicari to make it 5-0 in favor of San Diego, and that would be the final score of this game. A five-star performance for San Diego to end their losing streak. As the shots in this one, 13 shots committed, 9 that Dallas had, but 9 shots on goal committed, just 1 that Dallas had in this one. 4 shots off target with a 3 that San Diego has. 1 shot that was blocked with the 2 that Dallas had. And possession-wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that Dallas has in this game. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered for San Diego. I mean, there were definitely doubts that, maybe this team have kind of got found out. But yeah, this is a game just kind of remind that, yep, the good vibes is still there with the San Diego team. It's been an incredible expansion season so far. There's no doubt they're marching toward to potentially make it to the playoffs, even though I know we're still relatively early in the season. But for Dallas, I mean, this is the frustration about this season. They They just have these kind of games where it's almost unpredictable when you look at Dallas when they come into a match week of what kind of version of Dallas you're gonna get. Are you gonna get the good version of Dallas, or an incredible resilience kind of Dallas team as we saw last week against Inter Miami getting that big comeback victory, or you're gonna see a really bad Dallas team like what we saw in this game against San Diego, where yeah, their defense pretty much went back to 24 form in this game. Now, moving on in the next match, we got Vancouver versus RSL. So I'll give RSL credit the fact that they did at least hung in there in this game. I mean, Vancouver probably could have easily did something similar to that San Diego did to Dallas, which is score a couple more goals. But nevertheless, as we mentioned many times before in the past couple of weeks, the Whitecaps is an absolute wagon right now, and they're not going to stop winning even if you think that they're going to do so. But in the first half, Udvik would heads it right to Cabral before Cabral denied and got though, and on the rebound, Kuba's shot was blocked. Vancouver was definitely on the front foot. They were trying to push for the opener. Cabral would then deny Ocampo from close range. Cabral was really one of the big reasons why this wasn't as big of a scoreline as Vancouver should be, and that's kind of what you need to do when you're facing against the Vancouver Whitecaps, a team that is just absolutely unstoppable right now on the attacking end. That you're gonna have to hope that you can rely on some big save from your goalkeeper. But the shots up to this point were already 7-2 for Vancouver. It was all Whitecaps early in this one, though Quinton did miss wide from close in the 18th minute, but then 2 minutes later, Vancouver took a much deserved lead as Jaden Nelson went beast mode here, scoring from Priso to make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. I mean, as much as I said that he went beast mode, which we know that Jaden Nelson can do that, yeah, that was not great defending whatsoever from RSL, and they made to pay, and just like that, 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. Ocampo did look for another, but he hits it right to Cabral, and after some fury of chances, we did go for a pair where not much really happened. Katranis would then head it wide from close in the 42nd minute, but we do head to halftime with Vancouver leading 1-0. In the second half, Ubik would head it right to Cabral before Briso missed wide from close range, but then we thought there was a penalty that was given to RSL as they thought that Gozo was brought down in the box, but they go to VAR to see whether that is the case, and it wasn't. There was no contact in terms of that. So as a result, no penalty was given, and that was huge, at least up to that point, because just a couple of minutes later, a penalty was given to the Whitecaps as Campo was brought down by Cabral there. So here's a chance for Vancouver to put this one away. Cabral says no. He denied Rios from the spot in this moment. Keep in mind, I think Brian White didn't play in this game. He got the rest off in this one, just to show you that even without their most potent attacker, that this team, because there's just such a wagon right now, so deep in their squad, that they can roll with anyone, and it's almost like kind of the next man up mentality, and guys will get it done. Though in the case of Danny Rios, yeah, not so much in that moment. That is definitely not a moment he want to remember. But it was still a great save from Rafael Cabral. But nevertheless, in the 70th minute, Vancouver does make it 2-0 as Tristan Blackman would score from Vite to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. I mean, I definitely did not see that one coming with Tristan Blackman smashing a laser of a ball like that. He's more known for his heading ability, definitely not known for striking. That looks like it was a striker finish rather than a center back, but that's just kind of the luck that the Vancouver Whitecaps is having this season, and just like that, they double the lead up to this point. Ruiz did look to respond, but he hits it right to Takoka before Vite throws it just wide from long range. The chances were definitely coming left, right, and center in this game as both of these teams continue to push for the opening goal. Cabral then denied Vite from long range. Vancouver was looking to put this game to bed with the third goal, but in the second minute of stoppage time, a penalty was given to RSL, and this time it was given in favor of RSL as VAR deemed that Glad was brought down by Berhalter there. So as much as Berhalter has had an incredible time for Vancouver in this one, this definitely was one of his rare mistakes that he have had doing this incredible run that the Whitecaps have been. But here comes Diego Luna, at least trying to make this game a little interesting, and he buries the penalty. And keep in mind, even though there was only 1 minute left in stoppage time, there was still a couple more minutes because of the VAR check. So there was a glimmer of hope that maybe RSL can steal one late in this one, getting a point out of this one. But Vancouver says no. They hold on to win 2-1 in this one. In the shots in this one, 24 shots for the 11 that RSL had, 3 shots on goal for the 9 that the Whitecaps had, 2 shots off target for the 3 that RSL had, 5 shots that was blocked for the 12 that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession that RSL has in this game. And, despite the scoreline, Vancouver absolutely deserved to win this one. They were head and shoulder by far the better team in this one, as it's been kind of the case with this team. And for RSL, yes, I know it's a disappointing loss, but that's gonna happen when you're running into a buzzsaw like this. I mean, right now nobody can stop this Vancouver Whitecaps team, and the fact that they at least kept it flow. I mean, I guess that's kind of like a little moral victory that RSL can take coming out of this game. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Seattle versus the St. Louis City, and I think it's safe to say that St. Louis is hitting the panic button if they haven't hit already, because yeah, this was ugly. In the first half, Lund would deny Rusnak from close range before Yamar would head it wide from the corner. Seattle was definitely on the front foot early, as St. Louis not really started on time in this game and pretty much was not really in this game for most part. De La Vega would then hit it over from close before Muswaski puts it over from close range. Seattle continued to create some chances to try to get the opener. In fact, the shots were 4-1 for the Sounders 25 minutes in. But instead, we got a penalty given to St. Louis, really completely against the run of play here, as Yamov brought down Toysher in the box there. So here comes Marcel Hardo, a chance to give St. Louis an undeserved 1-0 lead, and he did exactly that. So yeah, completely against the run of play. St. Louis has the lead. The lead does not last long, though, because just 4 minutes later, a penalty was given to the Sounders this time, as Bumgardo walked down Rothrock in the box there. So here comes Albert Rusnak, a chance to bury it, to tie the game up, and he does exactly that. Bumgardo did try to, or actually, no, in the 37th minute, it was actually almost 2-1, and he actually almost made another mistake here as he missed the clearance that almost ends up to be an own goal, but was saved by the post there. Yeah, this St. Louis defense was all over the place in this game against a potent Seattle team. But there was no doubt the Sounders have the momentum again. They were pressing to try to get the lead before halftime. But we do head to halftime with the scoreline 1-1 in this game. In the second half, Sounders continue to push for the opener goal. They kind of picked up where they left off in the first half with the possession. But to the most part, I also thought that there wasn't really too much quality in the final third. Well, they kind of took that personally when I wrote that, because in the 61st minute, they do get the lead for the first time tonight, as Obar Vargas would score from Ryan Kent to make it 2-0 or 2-1 in favor of the Sounders. So great moment there for Ryan Kent, making his debut there and getting an assist. Won't be the last time that he would be on the helpers card in this game. But in the 63rd minute, De La Vega looked for another, but he puts it onto the roof of the net. And then this is where we have a little bit more controversy, because yeah, there was no penalty that was given to the Sounders, as VAR deemed that Bongardo didn't handball this one. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, when you look on the replay, it was pretty clear that his hands was outstretched and the ball hit him there. And unless if there is a different interpretation of handball, I mean, that's kind of a textbook answer of a handball. So yeah, obviously Sounders fans were not happy, and rightfully so. And I just kind of wonder, oh boy, is this going to be one of those games where a pro debacle referee is going to ruin this game? Luckily, that was not the case, because in the 74th minute, in many ways, that kind of give the Sounders more anger, because they would continue to push to try to get that third goal. First, it was London and Muswaski in the front post, as Seattle continued to push to the third goal to kill this game off. And in the 81st minute, they do exactly that, as Muswaski, after getting many chances in this one, he finally buries one from Nuhu, of all players, to make it 3-1 in favor of the Sounders. And by the way, that won't be the last time I'll say Nuhu name, at least in terms of the goal scoring department, because it happened again in this game. Manungu would then look for another, but he missed wide before De Rosario would miss a sitter from 4 yards out. Yeah, that is one that De Rosario would want to have the young Sounders player. What a moment that would have been for him if he would have scored a goal there. But there was no doubt St. Louis had waved the white flag. Seattle, again, they were showing no mercy, because they're still probably a little pissed off after not getting that penalty in the 69th minute. And then in the first minute of stoppage time, they would make it 4-1. And guess who? It's Nuhu scoring his second career goal in his career, his first since 21, and he scored from Ryan Kent to make it 4-1 in favor of the Sounders, and it was an angry goal too from Nuhu, and I'm pretty sure Nuhu probably saw that handball that was given, and he definitely took it personally by just absolutely rifle that one into the top left corner. Like you couldn't have a ball that is hit that much stronger and placed that perfectly. Where even if you put five goalkeeper in the net, it wouldn't matter. It would have been in the back of net every single time. And just like that, the Sounders made it 4-1. That would be the scoreline or that would be the scoreline at the end of this game. As the shots in this one, yeah, 31 shots compared to 7 that St. Louis had. 4 shots on goal for the 8 that Seattle had. 16 shots off target compared to 2 that St. Louis had. 1 shot that was blocked for the 4 that Seattle has. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that St. Louis has in this game. I mean, it was one-way traffic from the beginning to the end. And like I said, for St. Louis, the pressure is definitely on this team, and the pressure is definitely now on Olaf Malberg because it's one thing that this season, if there's a saving grace for Olaf Malberg, is at least he's kept his team mostly in games because of the tight defensive kind of play that he's shown throughout the season. It was nowhere to be found in this game, and if this is a sign of things to turn, where now the defense started to rattle because of the lack of goal scoring, yeah, things can head south relatively quickly for the St. Louis team. And like I said, that seat is going to get hotter and hotter if St. Louis does not perform for under Olaf Melberg. And I'm pretty sure the seat might even be hotter for Lutz as well as the GM, because let's just say that yeah, he clearly made the wrong hire. And if these results continue to go south, that the only way to kind of cool off his seat is kind of admit that he made the wrong decision and maybe let go of Mel in the middle of the season. But that being said, moving on into the next game, and the game that I went to that also ended in a 4-1 uh, win by the host. And I got to say, I've been to 2 Quakes games this season. The Quakes have outscored their opponent 10-2 when I'm at PayPal Park. Safe to say I need to go to more Quakes game this season, don't I? Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game, C. Mora had an outstretch leg that was gathered by Danielle, and just like last week, the Timbers definitely getting most of the possession early in this one, which is kind of not what you expected. This is a team that likes to kind of sit back a little bit. And in some way, I feel like this is a game where, the Quakes kind of give the Timbers a little taste of their own medicine in terms of the fact that they were the one that were looking more dangerous on the transition than the Timbers are. But in the 10th minute, Espinoza would struck the post as the flag went up. So even if that went in, it wouldn't have counted. Arango would then hits it right to Crepeau. The Quakes was giving the Timbers, again, a little taste of their own medicine with these beautiful transitional attack. Espinoza would then puts it over from close as the shots were 2 apiece early on, but you just kind of had a sense that the Quakes had the momentum and were looking to get that opening goal. And Lauren Beho in the 16th minute, that's exactly what happened, as Espinoza would score from Dewan Jones and Arango to make it 1-0 in favor of the Quakes. Dewan Jones definitely had a big impact in this game. And I said before that, as much as I was a little frustrated the fact that the Quakes weren't really fixing their defensive issue, I think Dewan Jones could be an underrated factor in terms of him being not only being a playmaker to this team, but at least also solidify the defense to this team. I think it's been a big signing for the Quakes, and I'm very glad to see him be on the team. But also, yeah, I mean that was just champagne soccer from the Quakes. Almost looked like Wilfred Nancy ball in terms of how that goal was set up. But just like that, the Quakes were up 1-0. Ajala did look to respond, but he puts it wide before Daniel actually went off his line there and missed the ball. And he got really lucky here that Anthony missed the target on the chip, because it's not very rare you see Daniel make mistake. But nevertheless, in the 24th minute, the Quakes double their lead as Espinoza would score again from Musani Buddha to make it 2-0 in favor of the Quakes. DaCosta did look to respond, but he puts it right to Danielle. And then in the 28th minute, Chicho Arango would get on the score sheet. He scored from Jones to make it 3-0 in favor of the Quakes. And yeah, Maxime Crepeau downfall needs to be studied, because remember a couple of years when he was the hair of Boyam for the Canadian national team. What in the world has happened to Maxime Crepeau? I mean, he was a guy that even in doing that MLS Cup winning run that he has with LAFC, he was considered to be the hero of the team. But yeah, ever since that, it's been just a complete fall off the cliff for him, to a point where yeah, yeah, it's hard to believe how much of a fall off that he's been in, and this was one that he absolutely should have saved that. I mean, from near post like that, especially with the way that I don't think Chicho Arango actually hits that one very relatively well, but it doesn't matter because yeah, Craig just doesn't seems like he's gonna make a save in this game. But I also thought that oh boy, this looks like it's one of those nights for the Quakes, and again, this is kind of the thing I've said about the Quakes where if they are able to put away their chances and show more of the clinical finishing that's been lacking for most of these games, these are kind of the games that they're going to have. This is kind of how powerful this attack has been, and I feel like it looks like we might be heading for another 6-1, like I saw last time when I saw the Quakes winning 6-1 against the DC in the beginning of the month. But in the 35th minute, Mascara almost made it 4-0 for the Quakes. He actually scored an own goal here, but fortunately for him, the flag came up for offside. The Timbers backline was all over the place. I mean, and I get it. Yes, they were missing a couple of key starters on the defensive end, but even then, I mean, this was just pretty woeful defense. I mean, I know the Timbers are not great when it comes to defending, but this was next level bad in terms of how much space that they were giving to the Quakes. And when you're giving that much space to a lethal Quakes attack, I mean, you're basically asking for it. But nevertheless, the Timbers does get one back because, of course, you got to also remember that the Quakes also suck on the defensive end, as Felipe Mora would score from DaCosta and Anthony, and yeah, just lazy defending there from the Quakes. They're just getting completely cut open, and this is also kind of where I think, well, this might be like what I thought was going to happen. Where I knew coming into this game there was going to be goals. I knew that there was going to be teams that could score more than 3 goals. I didn't think the Quakes would actually for the most part mop the floor in this one in terms of being the clinical finisher. But nevertheless, Harks would look to respond, but he missed that one wide, and we do head to halftime with the Quakes leading 3-1. In the second half, Anthony would puts it right to Danielle. The Timbers definitely start on the front foot, and the Quakes once again did not start on time in the second half. And you got to remember, even though they're leading 3-1, I still have that this energy because of the way that I'm just worried about this defense and how they can handle this high power Timbers attack. Ajela did had a looping header that hits onto the roof of the net before Arango looked like he scored the fourth goal for the Quakes, but VAR disallowed that goal for offside, and rightfully so. I mean, it was very close, but I think he was just a hair offside. Espinoza would then puts it just wide. The Quakes they were looking to try to get that fourth goal, and then they look like they got a penalty there in the 69th minute, but they go to VAR again to see whether or not if there was actually any contact there when Igella fouled LaRue in the box. There wasn't, so the penalty was overturned. It remains 3-1. The fans were not happy about that. They definitely told the referee that he really, really sucked in both explicit and a clean version way. And of course, I know the fans probably didn't get to see the VAR view. I was able to see it because I'm able to just tune into my to Apple TV even at the stadium to see the replay, and I can pretty much assure that that was not a penalty. LaRue clearly didn't feel any contact whatsoever, and yeah, that was just one that I knew it was going to be overturned, and indeed it was. But it doesn't help the fact that obviously the fans don't get that version, and they're probably already upset in terms of a goal being chopped off earlier. So yeah, they're gonna definitely make sure the referee knows that he really sucked at his job. Even though I thought for the most part this was actually a pretty well referee game, and that might be a huge relief for Timbers fans because the Timbers have been on the receiving end and also the benefit and of bad controversial call so far this season. But in the 68th minute, Arango just miss a dangerous ball coming from 6 yards out before Kelsey would miss wide in the back post, and then he puts it over from close range as the Timbers were trying to make this game interesting. Remember, it's still only a 2-goal game. I'm still not confident until the Quakes get that fourth goal. Arango was in on goal there, but he missed this one way wide. But in the 88th minute, this is when my blood pressure finally goes down as Usani Buddha finally scored that fourth goal for the Quakes from Arango to make it 4-1 in this game. Pretty much just kill any chance of the Timbers of getting a miraculous comeback. And in the end, the Quakes win 4-1 in this one. The shots in this one, 16 shots for the 15 that the Timbers had, 5 shots on goal for the 8 that the Quakes had, 5 shots off target for both of these teams. 2 shots that was blocked for both of these teams, and possession-wise, 47% possession compared to 53% possession the Timbers has in this game. And I also would say that, this is also kind of one of those games, unlike this one, where I think the scoreline maybe is a little bit misleading. The Timbers had their fair share of chances, but the Quakes were being more clinical in this game. How many times have I said that about the Quakes? This is kind of the thing that kind of frustrates me about the Quakes this season, where I know they have the ability to put these kind of performance. I know that attack can definitely score more than 2 or 3 goals. They just don't do it in a consistent way. And unless they do it in a consistent way, then there could be a chance where this team can be on the up and up. But for the Portland Timbers, yeah, the winning streak has come to an end. Well, actually, is it the winning streak? No, it's an unbeaten streak. They actually had draw in one of their games. But yeah, their unbeaten streak has come to an end, and now this is where, if you're a Timbers fan, I mean, I know the old saying goes, all good things has to come to an end, but you got to remember it in terms of Phil Neville tenures, in terms of taking charge of this team, and also with Inter Miami. Anytime when a big winning streak comes to an end, yeah, that's when things really start to go down south, and this is where we'll see how the Timbers will react after this loss in these next couple of games. It's important for them to get themselves back on track, because if that doesn't happen, oh boy, it feels like we're back in the Phil Neville cycle, where for every great winning streak that Phil Neville team has, when the losing began, yeah, you better believe the losing is going to be staying for a couple of games. But that being said, I am actually now going to just switch the board. Pretty much just switch the board straight away. I'm not even going to stop the video. Why not? Let's do this on hand while we're at it. So yeah, let me just put this here. And I'm actually not even going to put the clipper in. I'm just going to just do this. I'm pretty sure the board can actually hold up on the stands without me being clipped on. But nevertheless, moving on into the last game of Saturday night is LAFC versus the Houston Dynamo. So this was another game where it was relatively one-sided, and a game that, the scoreline doesn't indicate the fact that LAFC pretty much dominated this game from beginning to end. And it starts in the 8th minute with the first shot of the game. See, Bawanga hits it right to Bond, and then in the 10th minute they would get the opening goal as Nathan Ordas would score to open the scoreline for LAFC. And yeah, not a great moment here for Jonathan Bond. He basically palmed this cross right, or actually did not get to this cross, and Ordas was there in the right place, right time to capitalize it, and just like that, LAFC were leading 1-0 in this game. And this was actually the only blunder that Jonathan Bond would make in this one. He actually had a great game in this one. Bawanga then looked for another, but he puts it high before Jesus puts it right to Bond. It's mostly LAFC as they look to continue to press for that second goal. Bond would deny Bawanga from close. That came off a bad turnover from the Dynamo, who, yeah, up to this point, they definitely did not showed up both on the attack and the defensive end, and they would pretty much continue not to show up in this game whatsoever. Delgado would then put another one right to Bond. The shots were 6-2 for LAFC, but 5 of the 6 shots so far has been on target. Bond would then deny Bawanga from close range, and then he denied him again from close in the 44th minute. And despite the early mishap, again, I think Jonathan Bond, if it wasn't for his incredible save, this probably could have been 2 or 3-0 in favor of LAFC, and Bawanga probably would have had at least a couple of goals. In fact, he was denied by Bond again in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. So yeah, Bawanga must be staring down the heavens right now, thinking, what does he have to do to beat Jonathan Bond in this one? But we do head to halftime with LAFC leading 1-0, and somehow leading 1-0, because they had a boatload of chances in the first half, and that was kind of the same story in the second half. Bawanga would then puts it over from long range, and then he was denied by Bond again, because that's been the story of this game. And like I said, Bawanga must have nightmare of Jonathan Bond by this, because what? That's the 5th or 6th time that he's been denied by the Dynamo netminder. Linga did have a rare chance for the Dynamo, but he missed that one wide. But in the 79th minute, LAFC finally put this game away, because up to this point, yes, LAFC was dominating this game, but there's always that uncertainty of the fact that you need to get that second goal to really complete your dominance, and they did exactly that in the 79th minute. And Jeremy Mbobasi was scoring from Bawanga and Tillman to make it 2-0 in favor of LAFC. So if you're being victimized by Jonathan Bond, why not be the playmaker? And that kind of is the case with Denise Bawanga. You just feel like, yeah, I'm just gonna play this one, set up my teammate, so I make sure my teammate can at least score against Jonathan Bond, because I'm certainly not doing it tonight. And that's exactly and what happened to make it 2-0 in favor of LAFC. Palencia did look for a third, but he puts this one over. And then one sport note, Escobar actually got himself a second yellow late in this game to just kind of add the insult to injury for a Dynamo team that did they even showed up in this game? They didn't they? So yeah, in the end, LAFC wins 2-0, relatively comfortable win. Shots in this one, 18 shots for the just four that the Dynamo has. No shots on goal for the 10 that LAFC had. 5 shots off target for the one that the Dynamo has. Both teams had 3 shots that was blocked. Possession wise, 52% possession compared to 48% possession the Dynamo has in this game. And I would say that this is kind of the big three that the doctor order for LAFC as well, because they said they've been kind of been going for a bit of a slump in the last couple of games, both home and away. But they took care of business in this one, and if they were definitely firing all cylinder, they probably would have won this one by more than just the 2 goal. But for the Dynamo, yeah, this is definitely a game to forget. I mean, they like I said, they pretty much did not show up in this game whatsoever. This felt like a little throwback to the Dynamo of the old, where there's a reason why Dynamo fans used to say that whenever this team go on the road, it's pretty much an automatic L because they simply cannot win road games and don't show up for those road games as well. Now, moving on into the next game, we got NYCFC versus FC Cincinnati, and I actually got the score line wrong in terms of this game. So I'm pretty sure NYCFC fans are yelling at me because I got the score line wrong. So let me just fix that. But yeah, NYCFC getting the 1-0 win in this one to end FC Cincinnati unbeaten streak, especially on the road as well. But man, oh man, did they make this tough on themselves because of the lack of finishing, and them very fortunate that Cincinnati wasn't feeling it on the final third and the finishing department as well. But no doubt, early on, NYCFC was on the front foot as they were looking to take an early lead. Fernandez would hit it right to Salotano before Pereira would hit it right to Salotano as well. But then in the 8th minute, Fernandez would be on target. So he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of NYCFC, and you just kind of had a sense that was coming. I mean, NYCFC just kind of shot out the canyon in this one. They were the better team and got the opening goal. Orellano did look to respond, but he was denied by Freeze, and then a penalty was given to NYCFC as Miazga brought down Martinez in the box. So yeah, here's a chance for NYCFC to really hold this game away early in this one. But Martinez struck the post. He has now missed 2 penalties in a row in an NYCFC jersey, and for a guy that has been a sure thing from the spot here, that's got to be frustrating and concerning if you're NYCFC seeing your automatic PK ticker start missing penalties like that, and this time he just kind of struck the post from the spot. And you just kind of had a sense that would that moment kind of come back to haunt NYCFC, because you just kind of had a sense eventually Cincinnati's going to woke up in this game, right? Well, not before NYCFC put a couple more chances in this one, starting with Pereira was in on goal there, but could not find the target before Salatano denied Martinez from long range. It was all NYCFC up to this point. Cincinnati has not woke up in this game whatsoever. But the question is can they get that second goal despite the fact that they completely outshot Cincinnati in this one? The shots were 10-1 for NYCFC up to that point. Orellano then fires it wide from closes. That was only the second shot for Cincinnati before Thor's puts it way wide from long range. The shots went out 13-2 for NYCFC, and then Orellano had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. So far, Lucas Orellano is really the only guy that is providing the attack for Cincinnati, and they're probably very lucky for the fact that they head to halftime only down 1-0 against NYCFC. In the second half, a little bit much better start for Cincinnati. Valenzuela would hit it right to Freeze before Ango hits it right to Freeze as well. Again, something tells me Pat Nolan must have choice words with his team, because that was just a woeful performance by Cincinnati. Probably the worst first half that they played this season. But I also thought that NYCFC might be sitting back a little bit too much of their liking and started to invite some pressure. And again, this is where when you don't get multiple goal lead and don't pay off your dominant with multiple goal, this is where the nervous energy start to come with this NYCFC team, because as we know, in terms of this matchup, I'm pretty sure NYCFC fans still remember what happened in the Leeds Cup last years as well. But in the 62nd minute, Martinez would miss a free header on the doorstep of goal. And also, let's not forget, I'm pretty sure NYCFC fans still also remember what happened against Atlanta earlier this season as well, when they had a big lead. But I also thought that, like I said, NYCFC, I feel like they're going to regret not getting the second goal, because you just kind of had a sense eventually Cincinnati is going to get that moment to get that equalizer. Santos tried to do so, but he missed wide in the near post before Martinez went round the keeper but struck the post as the flag went up. And then Fernandez would put it wide from long range as the shots were now 15-9 for NYCFC. So Cincinnati has kind of caught up to the shots early on. I mean, they were badly outshot in this one, but ever since they actually outshot NYCFC 7-2. But again, only one goal in it. You just kind of had a sense for NYCFC. They're gonna blow this lead, aren't they? Well, Evander tried to get the equalizer from the free kick. He's pretty much the best free kick taker, and he just missed this one high from the free kick. And then Freeze would deny Valenzuela from close range. Cincinnati was putting the pressure to try to get the equalizer. Evander would then clip the top of the post and goes over in the 84th minute before Freeze would palm a shot that came off of the back of Tavon Gray. So almost bad luck kind of plays in the role of NYCFC. And luckily for NYCFC, despite Cincinnati pushing late to try to get the equalizer, they hold on to win 1-0 in this one. Definitely not the resort that I would say, or I wouldn't say resort, but not the game that I think Pascal Janssen was hoping for them to get the free points in this one, especially them kind of holding on a little bit in the second half. But the shots in this one, 19 shots for the 13 that Cincinnati has, 4 shots on goal for the 5 that NYCFC had. Both teams had 5 shots off target, 7 shots as blocked for the 4 that Cincinnati has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Cincinnati has in this game. And like I said, not the way that Pascal Janssen draw that they win this one against Cincinnati, but when you're facing against a team that hasn't lost a single game on the road this season, you'll take it, especially with the way that you just kind of had a feeling if NYCFC is going to make the playoffs, they need to win these home game no matter if they're facing tough opponent or not, since mostly they just cannot win on the road this season. Only one win so far on the road. But for Cincinnati, they definitely played much better in the second half. They looked like the Cincinnati of in the second half, but just aren't able to take those opportunities like NYCFC. And I'm pretty sure Pat Nolan will not be happy with the way how his team played in the first half, with the way that they started just so slow in this game. Like you can't just start so slow in this game and hope that you can have a chance to get all free points every single time. But now moving on into the last game on this board, and there it is. This is the game that is going to go down in history of the first time ever that we've seen a team winning a game without registering a single shot in the entire game. Now, to be fair, we actually saw this happen a couple of years ago. I think this was in 2021 when Seattle was taking on Real Salt Lake, and how Real Salt Lake didn't register a single shot for 120 minutes. And that was kind of the David Ochoa game, because David Ochoa was acting the villain, making a ton of big save, especially in the PK shootout as well. And I think that's going to go down as the first ever MLS team to able to win a game despite registering zero shot. But the difference between that game and this one is that in that game it's still going to go down as a draw, because in any time when a resort in a PK shootout, it's not going to uh really record as a win in the record book. So technically RSL didn't really win that game. They just kind of win it because of the PK shootout. This, I think you could say, is even more impressive. The fact that, yeah, I mean, not only the fact that you not only need to go the entire shot without hitting a single shot to get a result, which, by the way, that has actually have happened before, where I've seen a team getting a draw without registering a single shot. I remember most recently NYCFC and DC United. Remember, DC didn't register a single shot and they still got a 0-0 draw that one. But I just wonder, are we ever going to see a day where one team is able to get the win because of an own goal that happened on the other team? And that's exactly what happened in this one. Now, in the first half, not much happened early in this game, and in the 13th minute, there's the own goal. So Maya Yoshida, of course, puts it into his own net, and if there is not a moment that kind of sums up the Galaxy season, that moment has to be it, because yeah, for Yoshida, he just completely mistouched the ball, puts it into his own net inadvertently, and just like that, Sporting KC were up 1-0. And mind you, I really think Sporting KC, as this game winds down, they were purposely not going to register a single shot. Like, they were just playing haram ball to the maximum. They were basically going row Heath mode to even an extreme level that I don't even think Adrian Heath and in some extent Eric Ramsey would do. With how Sporting KC just kind of just decided that they're not even gonna bother attack whatsoever. They're just gonna sit back and try to make history. But in the 21st minute, Ramirez would look for an answer, but he missed one wide, and then Garces would head it wide as the Galaxy were looking to respond, controlling the possession as they were looking to get the equalizer. Polskan would then deny Peck from close range before Fagundes missed way wide from long range. So the shots were 5-0 for the Galaxy up to this point, but there was only one shot that was on target up to this point. Their second shot on target came in the 43rd minute when Postgame denied Nelson from close, and then Painto would miss wide from a curler. Sporting KC, you just kind of had a sense that you know they got to get something been going because eventually they would actually finish the half with zero shot, but somehow still have the lead, which I think that's also a history moment too. I don't think that any team can finish a first half registering with zero shot and still head to halftime with the lead. But we do go to the second half, and in the second half, it was more of the same. Yoshida would hit one that was blocked from the corner before Painto missed an absolute sitter on the doorstep of goal. That moment just kind of sums up the Galaxy season, and you just kind of feel like it's one of those days again, isn't it, for the Galaxy? And boy, not only was it one of those days, but one of those days in the wrong end of history. For goodness, would then miss wide from long range. Also, it's important to note that from what I heard, it seems like Gabriel Peck and Joseph Painto had to be replaced in this game because of injury. So you talk about adding more insult to injury for this Galaxy team. I mean, for a team that just I don't know what is going on with this season of how bad things have gone for this team to go 11 games without a win. It's already the longest winless run that a defending MLS Cup champion has gone, and now already tied with the longest winless run with Montreal, reaching that mark of 11 games without a win. But in the 56th minute, Fagundes would miss wide from long range. And I know before you say, well, it's because of the injuries and also them getting hit with the heavy cup tax. Well, even with that, I don't think this team should be in 11 games into the season without a win, especially when you saw some of the games that they played. There were some games where I could have think that they would have at least got a win or two out there. But 6 minutes in, Sporting still have yet to register a shot and barely really got the Galaxy have. It was just getting to a point where you just kind of sense, yeah, they're just gonna it's just gonna bunker and hope for the best because the Galaxy wasn't putting their chances away. Post game would then push Roy's crossover. The Galaxy continue to push for the equalizer, trying to break this SKC line that not only is being pinned deep, but this is just basically haram ball turn up to 100. With 10 minutes to go, Sporting KC still have yet to register a shot, and again, this is where you just kind of had a sense: is this going to happen? Is this going to be the first time ever we're going to see an MLS team fail to register a shot, but still ends up with 3 points? Post game would then deny Cuevas as he pushed the shot away from him, and then Garces would put it over from long range in the 88th minute. And I feel like that shot was just kind of a team that just kind of ran out of idea. Like the Galaxy, you can clearly see they're incredibly frustrating up to this point. No matter what they try on the attacking end, it just doesn't work whatsoever. But in the third minute stoppage time, they almost avoided an ill fate of history because Marco Royce had a chance from the free kick, and the post denied him. I mean that's just if that is not a punch in the dick for the Galaxy, I don't know what is, as in the end, history was made at Chosen Mercy Park. Sporting KC become the first ever MLS team to win a game without registering a single goal shot. And I don't even need to go in the stats total besides the fact that the Galaxy had 11 shot, 1 shot on goal, 7 shots off target, 2 shots as block, and they dominate the possession 65 to 35 in this one because I don't even need to go over the fact that, yeah, Sporting KC pretty much did absolutely nothing going for on the attacking end. And honestly, as much as people would say that this is lucky and so forth, I don't think this is really kind of luck. I think this is just a combination of Sporting KC did a good job in terms of their defensive part, which is something I definitely did not expect of saying about this team with how poorly they have defended this season, but also just a combination of the Galaxy. You can kind of sense that when a team is going for a long winless run like what the Galaxy is, and in some extents I'll say the same about Montreal. You kind of have a sense that not only the confidence is not there, but when things are just not going well, it just have that mentality immediately creep into the team of, oh, here we go again. This is going to be one of those days where nothing is going to work, and they're going to end up on the losing end. And honestly, if you're the Galaxy, I mean, I know they still have some easy game coming up in the schedule, and I still have no doubt that between the Galaxy and Montreal, probably the Galaxy might still have the best chance to end their winless run between these two winless teams. But you just kind of had a sense that this is a game that it's going to be hard to come back from. I mean, this is, if the confidence isn't at an all-time low for the Galaxy, this one is pretty much at rock bottom. You can't simply just not allow a single shot in a game and still walk away with not only not getting a point, but not even getting a single point. I mean, yeah, again, this is gonna be brutal for the Galaxy to come back. And for Sporting KC, like I said, people might say they got lucky in this one. I just say that it's impressive the fact that a team can end up with no shot in this entire game and still wins up on the score sheet. I mean, that's gonna be remembered for a very long time. Gonna go down in history books like what we saw a couple of years in the Sounders RSL game with RSL winning despite registering no shot in a playoff game. Even the DC and NYCFC game, DC pulling off a draw despite registering zero shot. And even going back to as far as MLS Cup in 2016, where yes, that was a game where the Sounders at least registered some shot, but they won that game without a single shot on target, and that to this day is still the only time we have ever seen an MLS team winning an MLS Cup without registering a single shot. That's gonna go down as history as well. And Sporting KC fans, that as bad as this season has kind of been, they would absolutely take that kind of history. Well, I say it's as bad as a season they had. They're actually doing pretty well under their new interim head coach. Who would have thought that would be the case after they finally got rid of the guy that's pretty much been hailing back this franchise for the past couple of years. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of all of these games. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you make sure you leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these 7 games. Now next week is going to be very difficult for me because as I already mentioned in my part one review, I am going to be going to Minnesota to watch the Loons take on Inter Miami. I'm actually going to go with my friend James to that game. He's an Inter Miami fan, so yeah, that's going to be interesting watching the game. Uh, with my friend who's going to be rooting for the opposing team. And also, James, if you're watching this, hi there. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.